Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the second Women Crush Wednesday podcast this evening, presented by Sex and Suicide. I'm here with the beautiful, you could give the peace sign again. That was cool. That's never been done before. The beautiful Lauren Benson, right?
Yeah.
You want to say hello?
Hello.
There you go. Lauren is going to be a lot of fun this evening. I can promise you that. She's got a great energy. We just met. We met again through Marlon Brown.
Yeah.
Marlon set up both podcasts tonight. Mm-hmm. And how do you know Marlon? Let's talk about that.
Well, I know Marlon pretty much from going to Western. I throughout pretty much all my Western career, especially my first few years, pretty much lived in the gym.
Okay.
And Marlon's he likes to work out.
He likes to work out?
Yeah.
Well, he's a personal trainer, so I hope so.
True.
Yeah. And so you know him from the gym, and you go to UWO. What were you taking at UWO?
Nursing.
Nursing,
Yeah.
from the get-go.
Yes.
Okay. And what made you decide that you wanted to go into nursing?
I like to help people. I don't know. Just I knew I wanted to do something in healthcare, and I knew I could take nursing anywhere, like many places.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Are you from London?
Nope, from Windsor.
From Windsor?
Yes.
Okay. What made you decide to come to London? Is that just like party
Because
scene?
London people love to party.
Yeah, sure we do. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So were you a party girl before university?
I partied, but like not like people party in London.
Okay. Tell me how people party in London.
I've never really heard the term "let's get blackout" so often until I came to London.
Really?
Where I proceeded to blackout quite frequently.
So that became a routine kind of
Yeah.
deal? So tell me about, we know that you've got a story to share.
Yeah.
And where do you want to start with it? I mean, I want you to mold this the way that it's...
Of course.
Yeah, the way that is best for you and for the people watching, to explain what messages you've learned, because you're sober now for almost a year, right?
Yeah.
And that, congratulations, by the way. That
Thank
deserves...
you.
And we're going to get into a little bit of a discussion, too, because you have done the 12 steps. Mm-hmm. I've been sober for 20 months in a few days.
Yeah.
And but I didn't do the 12 steps. I had a bit of, and as you said, as I said earlier, I said I have a bit of a unique situation. What do you think? You're special? Was Lauren's response. I know you're kidding. I know you're kidding.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Absolutely. But we'll get into that too, because I'm curious to hear sort of some of the stuff. You're bringing up some literature already, saying like, are you in denial? Right? And I like.
What are you,
this.
a type 2?
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So you can tell me about all this stuff
yeah.
because I'm curious. Mm-hmm. So tell me where it all began and what led to the addiction or the. I know you're going to tell me a story about potential or an eating disorder that you had, not potential, but you did have, right?
It's been there.
It's been there. So let's get into sort of where you want to start from and go from there.
Yeah. Well, coming into university, I felt. My goal was to get fit because I wanted to look like all these Western girls. I had this like huge pressure on myself to look a certain way.
Right.
So
you're beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
Just saying, yeah. So
Yeah.
You look like, I don't know what this Western girl quote unquote look is, but I guarantee you fit it.
I've been told I fit it.
Okay.
But I mean, to me, I was like, I need to lose weight. I need to get super fit. Gotta look really hot. And I mean, it got very excessive, obviously. I was exercising like crazy, like at least 2 hours a day.
Wow.
I was eating, like, I started to eat healthy, and then I developed a fear of food.
Okay.
Like a complete, like, I'd eat maybe 5 foods and maybe 500 calories in a day.
Wow.
Like, and it was just like I was terrified to eat because a big part of it, as I got skinnier, I had worse body dysmorphia. So like I couldn't see myself as who I was. And like I still get that to this day, like where I'll see myself and I feel huge.
Really?
And it's like I know I'm not, but it feels like that, and it's like the most unbearable feeling.
What does that feel like?
It's just like I look in the mirror and it's like it's not like I see this huge fat person, but I see every imperfection and every little thing. And I feel like I'm like 300 pounds, and I know I'm not.
Right.
But it's just uncomfortable. Like I used to put off showering all the time because I didn't want to take off my clothes because that was so, just like to expose myself, like that was so uncomfortable.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you deal with it?
Well, I pretty much got forced into help by my family because they were like, you're slowly killing yourself. Like,
Right.
you're 80 pounds and killing yourself. Yeah, I changed to a completely different person. Like, I had no life to me. I had no personality. I was depressed. I couldn't stay awake past like 8 p.m. And if I was, my mind was spinning about food. I knew every day what I was going to eat the next day. And like, I would not have a bite more. If I did, I'd be like sit-ups like crazy. Like it consumed my life to the point where like I couldn't make friends. Like I had friends. I had tons of friends, but like not a single genuine friend.
Right.
Because I had the complete like inability to love or be loved because I was so self-absorbed and so caught up in like my appearance and how I can look like the next Instagram model and like constantly comparing myself to like I used to follow so many Instagram accounts of like fit girls and like really hot girls and like it just like it was so toxic to me.
Wow.
I had to like delete all of that and like try and like force myself to not look at it because like I know like for me looking like my like anorexic mind wants me to look like is not realistic for me.
Right.
I'm a different, it makes me like crazy.
Right.
I'm like absent-minded. I just can't think straight. I developed tons of depression and anxiety.
Right. Yeah. Do you think that's a big thing in university now? Because I've never, Instagram is a newer thing to me. It's been obviously introduced within the last couple of years, 2-3 years.
Yeah.
I still don't really know how to use it properly, right? But we talk about social media a lot on here, and we talk about how we feel that it's creating a mental illness.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and you're kind of living proof that it did in a way.
Yeah, like it totally fed my anorexia and
really
like my just hate for myself. Like it was like a weird mix between a like obsession of myself and the way I looked mixed with like a complete hate and disgust of myself to the point where like there were so many times where like obviously I didn't want to kill myself, but I would look in the mirror and I'd just be like, I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be stuck in this body. I hate myself. I look at myself and I'm just like, I want to cry. I just stand in front of the mirror and cry all the time. And like my parents, my family was so helpless because like they just wanted me to eat, but I wouldn't. Like for the life of me, I would not eat. I would like if you were going to tell me I couldn't exercise for probably 2 years, I only took Christmas off from the gym.
Wow.
And I was probably in my room doing sit-ups and going for a run, something. It was like it completely controlled my life, and it's just like my parents felt helpless because like it's a touchy subject too. Like I'd have people constantly saying like, you're getting thin, you're like, are you okay? And then like, other people being like, oh my God, you look so good, you've lost so much weight. And I'm like, yeah.
Wow. Oh my God, I never really thought of it from that angle.
Yeah.
So people thought that you looked good even though you knew. Did you know that you were sick? Like, did you know that?
No. I think my body dysmorphia really like distorted my mind of like what I was actually going through because I didn't see myself as this stick thin person. As I started to gain weight, I could see myself more clearly, but I didn't see that. I didn't see it, and I looked horrible. Like I look back and I'm like, oh my God, like that's gross.
Yeah.
But I was sick, and I get that, and I could see it now.
Right. Yeah. So how did you cope with your eating disorder?
I was pretty much told I was going to be taken to school and like I would never be able to nurse.
Really?
Yeah.
Who told you that?
Well, I had talks with my like academic counselors, and so my family pretty much said to me like, how do you expect you're 80 pounds? Like what do you want? Orthopedic?
Was that what you weighed at one point in time?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So like
my family dog's way more than that.
Yep.
Oh my God.
It's like a lap dog.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So you were 80 pounds and people basically told you that you couldn't move forward unless you made some changes?
Yeah. And I mean, like, that was my motivating factor pretty much. And I went to BANA, which is like an eating disorder program. And they gave me meal plans, all this stuff, which I really didn't follow. They told me I couldn't exercise, which I did never stop. Like, it was just too hard. Like, but I slowly gained weight to like get healthier to enough to like proceed on, and I've kind of managed it myself. And I know it's not exactly a healthy way, but like I always said to myself, you know what? I'm just gonna gain weight to make everyone happy, and if I look horrible, I know how to starve myself and get back to this. So whatever.
Really? Wow. So when you got to the point where you were gaining weight and making everyone happy, then what happened? Were you unhappy with yourself at all, or?
It's definitely like part of me was like, oh, I do look better. Oh my God, I was small. Like I'd try and like see gains in good places and be like, okay, I can deal with that. But
Sure.
I had a ton of anxiety, a ton of depression. I was put on like antidepressants that just constantly kept going up and up and up until the point where I was completely numb.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of medication did they put you on?
I was on a few different ones. I can't even like remember them all.
Right. No, fair
I kept
enough.
on switching from different ones because I was like, this isn't working. This isn't working.
Yeah. Did you find one that eventually worked?
Or
did they all just kind of like...
It kind of just kept going up and up and up, and more medications being added, all this Ativan. Then I started abusing the Ativan and like all these things, sleeping pills. And then at one point I decided I want to get off these, and I started tapering down. And that's when I was like, oh my God, I can feel emotions. Oh my God, like 50 milligrams down, I can cry again? What? Like,
yeah, sure.
It was...
What kind of sleeping pills? Imovane?
No.
No?
I forget even what it was.
Are they blue?
No.
No, okay, I was wondering.
They're white.
They're white. Did you put dissolve under the tongue?
No.
No, eh? Okay,
No.
I don't know those ones.
I don't know. I'd never heard of them. I wasn't on them for long, and I just completely abused those too. So
yeah, I think sleeping pills are a big one. I don't think people realize. That was the one that I had the most trouble getting off of years and years ago.
Yeah.
But I was taking a full 7.5 milligram Imovane every night. And it was like, this went on for 2 years. I didn't realize they were supposed to be used temporarily.
Yeah.
And my psychiatrist I was seeing at the time basically said, oh yeah, that's no big deal. We have you on this medication as well, so I can see why you can't sleep. I'm like, well, you know, you can't just put me on one medication, then when I have another side effect, give me another medication. And like, it was just this chain of shit that just kept, and you feel it, right? Like your body feels it. It's not natural. No. So nothing really helped you. From the depression medication or whatever you were taking.
No, not exactly. And I feel like it wasn't exactly that I have depression. Like I'm not on antidepressants or anything now, and I feel amazing.
Right. Good.
I feel like it was more situational for me, and the fact of the matter is I wasn't being a good person. I was drinking my face off constantly.
Yeah, me too.
Like I wasn't doing things to make myself feel good. No wonder I felt depressed. I was harming my body and my mind through all my actions, pretty much.
So is this during the time when you were hitting the gym too?
Oh yeah.
So you were hitting the gym and like worried about calories, but then you go out and get shit faced?
It was weird, eh?
Yeah. No, I'm just curious.
So I never drank so much in my life until I came to university, and then everyone, it's like there's a bar night for every night.
Yeah, there is.
And
there
it's
totally
like
is.
I have the worst FOMO ever.
Yeah, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So I was like, I'm going out every night, and like I almost like I was very cautious. Like I'd only like chug vodka because that was least calories.
Right.
But like being 80 pounds and chugging vodka, obviously I'm gonna black out. And like I've never had a stop button drinking.
Yeah.
Like it was like I either drink till I'm puking or I'm passed out, and there's
Right.
really no in between. Like
Right.
I now being sober, it's like I look at people and like drinking looks so fun. Like it looks like it's a good time, but like every time I do it, I'm blacked out. I don't ever remember it.
Right.
And it's like the insanity of still doing it over and over again, even though I know I'm gonna black out or
Right.
I'm gonna do something stupid or
Right.
so.
I've been there.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Did you drink every day?
No.
So
No.
so you and I were a lot more, we're similar in the sense that you're like a weekend warrior.
Yeah.
So
well,
would you say that?
Weekend.
Okay. Well, let's like days on end. You could go like 2-3 days.
But like I could take some days off and then resume,
right.
sort of thing. Like
But you did
functional
never
alcoholic.
Yeah.
For a bit.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
So, because it was funny, because you were asking me earlier, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, it's never that dependent. But I know there is a type of alcoholic that just can't stop when they start.
Yeah.
But doesn't drink every day. Mm-hmm. Their body doesn't become dependent on it.
Well, for me, it's like, I can honestly say that when I pick up a drink, I can't just put it down. I can't just have one. I want a whole bottle of wine.
Right.
Like, I drink for a feeling that I never get to, which is the crazy part of me keeping on drinking.
Right.
I drink to like get something out of it.
Okay. Did you ever feel that you were drinking to escape the anxiety and the depression? Did that ever help ease the anxiety? Were you self-medicating?
No.
See, that's where maybe we're different.
I mean, like, my drinking onto drugs got like really bad when I was raped.
Okay, do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, so that night I was out, and coincidentally I'd only had about like one drink, which is weird for me.
Right.
I'm sure more were coming.
Right.
But and that I was drugged that night, and
you were drugged.
Yeah.
Which bar was this?
It was.
Is it in here in London?
Yeah, Jack's.
Jack's.
Yeah.
Really? I've been hearing everybody that comes on and talks about this unfortunate shit that goes on. Mm-hmm. It always seems to be drugging in the drink at a bar. Mm-hmm. Always. So far, anyway.
Yeah.
So
that night I went home. Eventually, when I remember I left and I didn't. Like, I remember being in and out of consciousness while everything was happening, but I couldn't really move my body. I remember him carrying me into his house, and I remember bits and pieces. And then I remember eventually I like got back to consciousness and I ran. I didn't even have my shirt. I didn't have my phone. I didn't have anything. I didn't know where I was. I was so confused.
Oh my goodness.
I walked for what it felt like 20 minutes before a cab went by and picked me up. I remember going home that night, and I took sleeping pills for about 24 hours straight. I just didn't want, and like my mind was like, this never happened. Forget about it. Like, just don't tell anyone. Move on. Get over it. Like, I didn't want, like, I felt disgusting, and I didn't want to feel this pain.
Right.
So I was like, let's get over it. Don't tell anyone. So it started with sleeping pills. Then I started smoking weed. And I never smoked weed.
Right.
I never liked drugs.
Right.
I was very, like, anti-drug. Started smoking weed because that would make me sleep.
Right.
And then I started drinking by myself in my room. And
none of this happened before that night?
No, but, like before that night, I was just, like, a drinker. Like, I drank all the time. But I didn't even see that as a problem because everyone here was blacking out.
Right.
So, like, how was I any different?
Right.
And then I was going out all the time and, like, just getting shit-faced because I just wanted to do anything to escape from everything that was going on. Like, I just didn't want to think about it. Then I found cocaine, and that was, like, hitting the jackpot. Like, I won the lottery. Like, it made me so happy.
Yeah.
And it made me not black out. And I was just like, this is God sent. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I find this earlier?
And just to clarify, you're only 22 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay. Good thing you didn't find it earlier.
Yeah,
then.
obviously.
Yeah.
But that, and it was like, okay, I'm going to try and control this, like this cocaine use, to like, only when I'm going out. And like that only lasted so long to the point where it's like I was doing it every day.
You're doing coke every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like...
With like even sober, without a drink, I mean? Like
I'd usually be drinking, but I wouldn't drink too much when I do coke.
Really?
And like I was any excuse to go out, like who wants to party, like just constantly trying to go out, find things to do. And it was like just like not sleeping. My parents, like they were like, what is going on with you? Like they didn't know what was happening.
Did you ever tell them about what happened with this guy carrying you back to his hotel room? Do they know about that?
No. Oh, well, they do now.
Yeah.
I told them pretty much, like, after a few months of, like, doing drugs, I it was coming down.
Right.
And I was breaking down, and my mom came home from work, and I was just crying, and she's like, what is happening?
Right.
Like, Lauren, just tell me what is going on.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't get this. Like, you're a different person.
Right.
And I told her what was happening, and I'm like, I need help.
Right.
I can't stop.
Right.
And that's when I decided to go to Brentwood, which was treatment center in Windsor. But like it was like a week before until I could get in.
Yeah.
And that week was like the biggest shit show of my life. Like that's when I really realized my inability to stop.
Right.
Because like even like going into Brentwood, I had to be sober for like a week before.
Right.
And I just couldn't. Like I would run out of my house in the middle. My parents pretty much put me on house arrest.
Really?
Like saying like you're not leaving the house.
Right.
Like under any circumstances. And I'd leave in the middle of the night, steal their car, go get drugs, use all night. Like
Wow.
I couldn't stop. It like completely controlled my life. I had no respect or care for any of my family or like anyone who loved me. I was just like selfish and self-centered to the core.
Right. And when you and I originally talked, you said that it started with an eating disorder.
Yeah.
But and I get that. Like it seems like you were drinking and partying and didn't want to miss out. Mm-hmm. But it seems like when that night happened with this guy carrying you home, that's when it actually took a more severe turn.
Yeah.
So like I think that you're kind of caught up in London in the blacking out with the eating disorder, but I think that the rape is where a lot of this addiction started. Do you agree with that? Or
yeah.
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 Did you know the guy that did this to you?
I found out about a month or two ago.
Who it was?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that whole situation? Did you know them? Like, do you?
Yeah.
And are you going to do anything about it? Because I don't think there's a statute of limitations on that.
I just feel like I've always said that I didn't want to do anything about it because it's just another trauma in itself going through.
Absolutely.
Trying to catch this person and like it's so easy for them to slip through.
I know.
And I really have like I was so messed up at that moment that like I remember his dog, his tattoo, and what his house looked like. And that's about it, but that's all my say. So what does that really have?
I know.
But, and I figured it out. I didn't ever search it out because I didn't want to know. But coincidentally, someone told me that was talking to me about being raped. And it was the same person. She showed me the person and my heart just dropped. Because I was like, that is the exact tattoo. That was, and then I saw his dog and I saw his house all over his Instagram. And I was like,
that's the fucking guy.
Yeah.
So he's obviously done this to someone else.
Yeah.
How do we stop him? Do you have any idea?
I don't know.
Because this is my struggle right now. Mm-hmm. I've had multiple women come on here and talk about this exact same thing happening. I fucking can't stand anyone that anyone that needs to drug someone to take advantage of them. They deserve to be fucking locked up, if not worse, in my opinion. And this is the problem we run into, is that the police obviously want to press charges and want to catch these people, and then the lawyers want to call your whole night into question, and they want to say, oh, well, is this a habit for you? Have you, and they try to make, and this is where the women seem to get, and it's not just women, it's men too, but the women that we've had on, they get kind of caught up in the fact that, okay, well, no one's going to believe me because I have had a pattern of partying or whatever. But the bottom fucking line is that no one deserves this at any point in time. I don't care how messed up they are. And I don't know what to do about it. And I battle with that because I don't want these pieces of shit. Like, look behind me. I mean, I've got her coming up in the world, my daughter. And the last thing I want is scumbags like this being able to do stuff like this and get away with it.
Yeah.
So there needs to be something done because this makes my blood boil right here. And I'm so sorry you went through that. And we'll talk about this later because I really want to try to at least catch this guy or teach him a lesson. Even if it has to be done, and I shouldn't be saying this live on Facebook, but yeah, even if it has to be done, if we can find out who these people are, I have guys that will definitely help me beat the shit out of them and teach them a lesson like that. And I feel like that's the only way that justice is going to get done.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry that happened. We'll get on. I just wanted to pause and go on my rant. But
No, of course.
I feel like lives are ruined by this kind of stuff, and I've heard it way too frequently lately. So tell me about the addiction, and I'm so sorry I get caught up on that because we kind of breezed over it, and I was just like, wait a minute, we're not breezing over this.
We've already been talking about it earlier.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a big part of that night that changed your life forever, and you decided. Well, you didn't decide. I mean, you obviously dealt with it the same way I would have if I was in your situation and have dealt with problems, drugs and alcohol. So when you found out that you knew like you had a problem and you were stealing your folks' car and you're trying to stay sober but just couldn't, what happened then? They let you into the hospital or? Rehab or whatever.
I went into the rehab, and
is it like a hospital? I'm not familiar with it.
it's a 3-month like inpatient treatment. It's like morning to night. You're in therapy pretty much, group therapy mostly, and I mean it is in a roundabout way the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like going through treatment and more recovery for me. It taught me, it made me take a huge look at myself and like the person I was being. Cause like, I mean, before I picked up a drink or did a line, I was an addict through and through. Like personality wise, I was selfish, self-centered, manipulative. I honestly didn't really care about anyone but myself. Like I couldn't love other people. I really couldn't. And it kind of just taught me like how to live a life that's like, as a good person. It sounds like, you know what, everyone should just be a good person, but like I was so self-absorbed in my will and what I wanted, and that's really all that mattered to me, and I didn't really care who I stomped on to get there because I wanted what I wanted. Right. And
so do you think that could have been like a bit of a would you classify addiction as a disease, or could it kind of be classified as a bit of a mental illness as well? I mean, because I'm curious as to what when you talk about having these certain traits that led to you, like I was an addict through and through. Some of those traits sound like someone that might have been dealing with some mental health stuff too.
Well, I feel like mental health is like addiction and mental health are both diseases. Right. I think it's all kind of under the same scheme of umbrella, disease and mental illness. Right. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about your time in the... How long were you in the recovery center?
I only made it 1 month.
1 month? How long were you supposed to be there?
3 months.
3 months?
Pretty much I got...
But you're sober now, so it obviously... Would you say that was the turning point, or...
I was asked to leave, which it sounds like I got kicked out of rehab, but I swear everyone has.
Okay.
Like, they're very strict. Thing? I mean, I wouldn't eat.
Okay.
I mean, like, I wouldn't eat to their standard, and
was that the eating disorder?
I just didn't want to, I just didn't want to be there because, like, I was totally isolated from exercising, and they were feeding me hot dogs and mashed potatoes, and that wasn't going to cut it. Right. So I would rather just, like, not eat. Yeah. But I got out, and it was about a week or so, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop doing the drugs. It's the drugs that are the problem, not the alcohol. Right. So I came to London from Windsor. Okay. And I'm like, I'm just gonna go out and just drink. Yeah. I got shit-faced and ended up buying drugs. Yeah. And it's like, that's the moment I realized that I'm completely powerless. Like, that I can't drink. I'm an addict, and that includes alcohol. Mm-hmm. And that, like, after going through recovery and working the 12 steps, it's like, that problem's been removed. I don't have, like, the desire to do drugs because I've worked on myself and I'm happy with myself. Right. And I really realized that drugs and alcohol aren't fun for me. They bring me to my knees, literally. Right. Like.
Sure.
Yeah.
and put you
And I
in
don't
some-
need that as a crutch anymore.
Right. Well, cheers to drinking carbonated waters, my dear.
Yeah.
Cheers
I'm
to
all
that.
about the carbonated water.
Mm-hmm. Myself as well.
Yeah.
Do you like these, by the way?
Yeah, they're good.
So these, I told you where you can get these, eh?
The grocery store.
Yeah, but it's the Superstore. I'm not just saying get them at the grocery store.
No, just-
Health food section in Superstore.
Very nice.
They're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you realized that you were an addict and couldn't touch alcohol. I had the same issue. I mean, my issue was always, at the time, I'm sure it would still be, again, I like to think that anxiety and depression was my problem and I self-medicated. And now that I've taken care of that, maybe I could, but I won't. And she's looking at me like, you're full of shit. You're so full of shit, right? So,
Maybe you're not a type 3.
okay, tell me these types. Tell me what a type is.
So type 2 is pretty much like you can drink and you can put it down.
You can drink and put it down.
Like you have that bit of control.
Okay.
Like a type 3, you know when you drink, you're not going to stop. Like you're not a normal drinker. Like you're not just going to go out for a few beers and stop, and like not even like the next day you're not going to drink.
Right.
Like you can drink like a normal person, really.
And as a type 2?
Yeah.
But not a type 3.
Type 3 is like when you drink, you're drinking to get drunk. You're going to be drunk. You're going to be doing it again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What about a type 1? Is there a type 1?
I don't know.
Why would they have just type 2 and type 3?
I'm sure that type 1 is probably just like a regular person.
A regular person?
Yeah.
So is type 4 like you're totally drinking every day? And is there a type 4?
I don't think so.
Okay. So, all right. I don't really like these
I think it's 1, 2, and
categories.
3.
Okay.
I just know type 2 and 3.
2 and 3?
I just know I'm a type 3, really.
Fair enough. I guess it doesn't really matter as long as you're self-aware of what you are.
Mm-hmm.
So, tell me about how your life has been since you stopped drinking. I mean, would you consider yourself, like when you're in recovery, you're always in recovery, right? There's no getting out of recovery.
Oh.
No. So do you always, like, do you go to meet, is going to a meeting every day something that you do, or how do you stick to this process?
Well, I do go to meetings. CA is my fellowship.
Okay. What's CA? Like, what do you mean
Cocaine
fellowship?
Anonymous.
Cocaine Anonymous.
Yeah. So like there's Alcoholics Anonymous. I go
Okay.
to Cocaine Anonymous.
Okay. Isn't there like Narcotics Anonymous too?
Yes.
What does that cover? Cocaine and everything else?
Honestly, Cocaine Anonymous is any mind or mood altering substance. It's not just cocaine. It's
Right.
a 12-step based fellowship. It's drugs, alcohol, anything really.
Right.
It's just another fellowship.
Okay. And that's what these called. Like it's called a fellowship.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing that kind of and trust me, I haven't picked a fellowship by any means. Mm-hmm. But I went to AA and I brought a friend there recently, and this is interesting to have you on because last week I had someone call me up and they were not ready to go to detox. He has the withdrawals from alcohol. I didn't know how to deal with them properly, to be completely honest, and I'd never seen it to that extent. And we had to cancel last week's podcast on Wednesday because of this, which is why we're doing a double tonight.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that this is the topic. So he doesn't think he needs AA either. And his problem is purely alcohol, and he's not willing to go. His is more of an ego stubbornness issue, I think.
All addicts have that.
Absolutely, yeah. It seems to be a common theme,
Yeah.
right? So when it comes to AA and like NA, like are you not allowed to talk about drugs and AA? Like is it like okay, we only talk about alcohol here? Why isn't there one that covers
That's why I go to
everything?
CA. It's a
Really?
like you can talk about your drug of choice
Because they're all drugs,
freely,
right?
and
Like,
it's not like it's a safe place to talk about anything. And I mean,
and it helps you.
yeah, I mean, it's not what keeps me sober. I go there now for like the newcomers to
Right.
like show
To
people.
pass it on almost.
Because, I mean, going through the 12 steps is really what got me sober.
Right.
Or, like, not got me sober, but showed me how to live a life.
Right. Is there a lot of religion involved?
Um,
Because I get that asked that a lot
it's a
too.
God of your understanding. It's just
So the
kind of
universe.
believing in something bigger than yourself, knowing, like, every morning I wake up, I pray to my higher power.
Right.
Every night I pray to my higher power, and I don't pray for myself. I used to pray all the time, and I'd be like, hey, God, please let me lose some weight here.
Yeah, sure.
Now I'm like, I don't pray for myself. I pray for other people. I pray for people who are suffering, and
Good for you.
I mean, when I'm struggling in a day, I stop and I ask my higher higher power for guidance. I have meditation prayers through the big book that I say, an acceptance prayer.
What's the big book?
The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, 12 steps.
That's what it is?
Yes.
Is it called the big book?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm learning stuff tonight.
Maybe I'll take you to a meeting.
I'll go to a meeting. I'm not opposed to learning about this stuff by any means. I mean, I think the issue I had was we went to like an AA meeting, and it was for a close friend, and he was having problems stopping, and I wanted to support him. But I went in there, and they didn't really like tell us anything about it. We just heard the stories, and I'm like, okay, I get the stories. That's fine, but where do we start the program? Like, where do we guide this individual? And I think we just didn't have the guidance at that meeting to really, like, he didn't feel it was for him either. How many people go there and feel like this isn't for them? Probably a ton.
I mean, yes,
like, at least at
but
first.
a lot of people, I mean, it's different reasons. It's
Right.
like, I'm in denial that I'm an addict. Or like, I don't know, people are just aren't ready to give them like a sober way.
Right.
Try.
Sure.
I mean,
I love sober living.
I do too.
Good. So when was the turning point for you that you like, life is good? Like, when was the turning point for you where you realized that sober living was okay? And what do you do with your spare time too? I'm curious. I mean, what does a sober girl like yourself do that used to be going out to the bars and partying how many nights a week? 3? Okay. 4, 5, 6?
3's the weekend.
3's the weekend. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we would have had so much fun.
So what was the first question? How do I stay sober?
The first question was, I guess we can go there. We can ask, how do you stay sober? How do you do it?
Well, it's just kind of like I just said, with like through, like, I work the 12 steps in my everyday life.
Yeah.
I live within that book. Like, I mean, like I said, it showed me how to live a life that's not selfish, that's thinking about other people, I have people in my life now that will call me out on my bullshit in a moment. Like,
right.
Hey, you're in self-pity. You're in denial. You're
right.
Like,
so
you need to check out your ego.
So a lot of the skills that you learn in the 12 steps are life skills, which is it fair to say that? Yeah.
And I mean, normal people have those.
Right.
Addicts, I mean, those get lost along the way.
I disagree with you. I don't think that normal people have those.
I mean, I think everyone could use the 12 steps, to be completely honest.
Sure. And we just had a podcast about cognitive behavioral therapy. I think there's many life skills that people aren't getting from living in the systems that we're going to. So I totally agree with you. And the next question was, what do you do with your spare time? Like, what do you do not to stay sober when you're sober?
Well, I'm in school right now.
Which is great.
So yeah, that consumes a lot of time. I still go to the gym in a healthy way. I like to cook.
Yeah.
I have a lot of sober friends that are through my recovery.
Yeah.
My boyfriend. A lot of these people are my best friends now.
Yep. Sorry, guys, by the way. She threw the boyfriend in. Guys are turning off the podcast right now.
Sorry.
That's good, though. That's awesome. You guys have something in common, and I'm sure you support each other.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Awesome. So what do you, like, having a boyfriend probably takes up a good chunk of your time, but what do you do instead of going to the bars?
I mean, go out for dinner.
Yep. And that's enough.
Go out for walks. Like, I don't, a substance does not bring me happiness.
Good.
And I don't know, like, I get out of myself, really. I get into other people. See, like, is there people I can help? Like, I don't live the same selfish life that I did before. Like, I'm of service to other people now.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think that, like, pure happiness comes from always being of service.
Yeah.
Rather than taking.
Yeah.
When did taking ever make you happy? Really? Or at least long term.
Not long term.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. Let's fill that in.
I'm like, I lived on self-will for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
So tell me about some of these, like, these steps that you went through. Like, what are the ones that stuck with you the most? Or I'm all about aha moments. So when did you have the most aha moments in your recovery?
I mean,
or were each of them just as equally effective?
There's many, but they're all equally important. I mean, I guess one of my first moments where I really realized I have something going on inside of me was I was dating a guy before my current boyfriend, and it was pretty much like the personality I had that complete, like I've said, inability to love or be loved. I was completely selfish.
Yeah.
I took all the life out of him. I manipulated him. He was like, I completely walked all over him and used him.
Right.
And he was great. He was very supportive. He was amazing. But like, it's like when I saw these people in my life that I loved, and they're like, I've had enough of you. Like, even like my parents eventually changed the locks on the doors, and they're like, get help or get out.
Really?
And
Do you
like,
think that's how it has to be done?
I mean, that was the best thing for me.
Right. Because I've heard a lot of, like, this gentleman I'm talking about last week, seems like it's the same thing for him. It seems like his parents are saying, like, you're on your own kind of thing.
And it's like, I don't have parents that are like easy to quit on me.
Right.
Like, I have the most absolute loving, amazing, supportive parents I could ever ask for.
Right.
And they've given me all the love in the world I could ever want. And so, like, it's not like...
So you really do have to help yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's like, they can't do this for me. They've tried to do my eating disorder for me. They've tried to keep me on the straight and narrow all they could. But, like, you know what? You have to make change in yourself. And it was deeper than this drug or this alcohol. It was, like, the person I was being. And, like...
Right.
Like I said, major moments were, like, losing people in my life that really cared about me. And, like, that I realized that I walked all over and, like... I was not being a good person. Like, when I relapsed, that was a big moment for me to realize, like, you know what? It's not just drugs, it's alcohol.
Right.
To do the steps was, like, the best thing that's ever happened to me. To take a full self-appraisal of everything I was doing, the person I was being. To go to the people I've hurt and say, you know what? I'm sorry. To not point any fingers back, but, like, not say, like, hey, like, I'm sorry for this, but, you know, you did this and that's why. Like, to take a full, like, look at myself and be able to say sorry to these people and make wrongs where I could. And just to, like, forgive myself. You know, like...
Self-forgiveness is a big one, huh?
Yeah. To be able to just, you know, I messed up and that's not the person I am today.
Right.
I was a sick person. I'm not a bad person.
No. And you obviously couldn't help it at the time. You didn't know what you were going through.
Yeah.
Right? So when you said that you did a lot of work on yourself, is that the work of the steps?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you do anything outside of that? Or was that enough?
Go to steps, go to the meetings. I mean, treatment was something I needed in that moment.
Yeah.
Going out there, I just went to meetings all the time. Once I picked up that book is when it changed my life. Okay.
So when you went to rehab... Excuse me, this carbonated water is making me burp.
That's okay.
So when you went to rehab and then they asked you to leave after a month, which wasn't like for the reasons that most people think, did you go to AA right away or CA? Sorry, right away.
I went to NA at first.
NA at first. What made you like? What's the difference between NA and CA?
See, Narcotics Anonymous. I mean, CA is based off the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, which was created back in time and it's been working for years.
Like 1920 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, and NA, I mean, they have their own step working guide, and I'm sure if you work it through and through, it's a longer process.
Really?
Yeah, their step work guide, it's just different.
Okay.
I mean, for me, I didn't see what I wanted and needed in my life. I saw at CA.
Right.
And my best friend was going to CA, and I went with him, and like I looked around the room and I saw a ton of recovered people, and I saw a ton, like all of those recovered people who were just like, let's go, let's help you, let's get you through this book. Like,
right.
People who like really, they had something I wanted.
Yeah.
Really.
That's really interesting. So you felt like it was kind of calling you, in a sense.
I mean, like, everyone has a different path in recovery, and no path is wrong. Like,
right, sure. So my path isn't wrong, even though you're looking.
I was waiting for that, and I was like, but yours is. Ooh, am I contradicting myself?
That's okay.
No, your path is not wrong.
No.
Everyone's different, and at the end of the day, if you're sober and you're happy and you're living a good life that's full for you,
yeah,
you know what? All the power to you.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I feel that I probably have more friends that were in recovery or friends that didn't drink and whatnot. But I don't really, at the end of the day, I'm okay with where I am, and I'm okay having friends that do drink. I'm okay having friends that don't drink, like yourself. I made a new friend that doesn't drink tonight.
Yeah.
Do you think you could date someone that wasn't in recovery?
Yeah.
You could. So you could date someone that drinks and it wouldn't be a pressure to you.
For me, I've been to the bar. I can go to the bar, and it doesn't bother me to be around it. I know what I can and can't do. I know I really don't go to bars and stuff like unless I have a spiritual reason to be there, or like
what would be a spiritual reason to be there?
Like
curious.
I went to the bar to Barney's because it was all my class graduating from nursing. Like a good reason.
Okay.
Where I'm not going because I want guys to see me. I'm not going because I want to be around alcohol, which I just don't.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Like I have a reason, like a good reason to be there.
Right.
I mean.
Right. I feel like when I've gone to the bar I wouldn't say many, like a handful of times since I stopped drinking. Mm-hmm. And every time I go there, I mean, I don't get it. Like I look around and I'm like, why did I spend so much time here?
No, I know, and money. Like,
yeah, time, money, and then like I kind of timed it too, and some of the people I was with, I'm like, okay, they repeated the same story. It's like 11 o'clock. They told me the story at 9 o'clock. They're starting to repeat the story. Was I the guy that repeated the story 10 times before the end of the night?
I know.
I probably was.
I just think about these things, and I'm like, how many times did I embarrass myself?
Yeah. And how many stupid things did I say that I thought were cool at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things. And then the music got louder as the night progressed, and people started talking in your face to be heard, and so saliva was getting no wonder I got sick so much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I find like I don't mind like Barney's or like a sit down bar.
Yeah.
But like if you want me to go to like Jack's or something where it's like,
is that tough for you, by the way? Like, just,
no. It's just like annoying. Like I'm a people person. I like to be around good energy. I can talk to people. I don't want to be in a place where I can't talk because like people are just drinking and not talking, and I'm like, hey,
yeah,
it's not weird.
Right.
Like I don't know.
When you say like go back to Jack's, does that bring back any kind of like traumatic? Like Jack's itself wasn't the problem. It was this guy that was it this guy that put it in your drink, or do you think it was a bartender? How do you think that was?
I mean, I would assume it was this guy, seeing as he's done the same thing to another girl.
Yeah, and he's not a bartender at the bar, is he?
No.
Okay. But so the bar itself doesn't have any triggers for you? Like is it
for me, I really try and block that it ever happens still. Like I've seen counseling about it, but
Did they say that that's a healthy thing to do?
I mean, everyone copes with it in different ways.
Absolutely,
I say.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just try and not think about it, and I try and like at the end of the day, if I'm a logical person, I can realize, you know what, I didn't ask for that. It's not my fault. I'm no less of a person.
Yeah.
And it doesn't define me, but I mean, it still hurts.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, it's probably one of the most violating things that could happen, right?
Yeah.
If not the most violating thing.
And like I know how to like deal with those emotions now. Like if you would have told me a year ago that I would have found out who this person was, I would have been so messed up that night. I would have been like, or like I would have used that as a reason to drink or something like that. Like the fact that I was able to go through finding out who raped me sober is a miracle in itself.
Yeah. No kidding.
And like I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have recovery, if I didn't have CA, the big book, and the support that I do have.
Yeah. Good for you. How is your friend now that kind of pointed out who this was? Is she doing okay?
She's had a rough go.
Absolutely.
He's done it to her twice, actually.
Twice?
She's been trying to go through a trial with him.
Really?
But I think it ended, and he's fine. He's gone off on his way.
Fuck's sakes. Oh, my God. That's terrible. Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness. Starting to get heated again. Anyway, we won't dwell on that. I know you don't want to really go back there, but I appreciate you having the courage to talk about that and everything you've gone through. And you're 22 years old. You're sober. I wish I had the insight that you have now when I was your age, because I went through a hell of a lot more of it. So what's the plan for the future for you?
Well,
Let's talk about everything you've learned and where you're taking it.
I do, like I said, I'm finishing nursing December, and I would love to specialize in mental health and addictions.
Good for you. Definitely needed.
Doing my master's in nurse practitioners to specialize more in that certain area, but that's my passion: community health and public health. Yeah. I don't know. No one has ever helped me with my eating disorder, my addiction, like someone who's been there.
Right.
And I can say that for a fact. I've been to countless therapists and like through programs and medicated and all these things, and nothing has helped me like another person who's been there and can really share the feelings and the experience that you go through these things.
Right. I absolutely agree with you. And that's why I love having this. Because, I mean, I can relate to you on, I mean, obviously, I'm not drinking. I've been sober. We can relate on that level. Anxiety, depression, I can relate to you on that level. But until you've actually felt it and you've heard it from someone that's gone through, there's some kind of like an instant connection that's made with everyone that kind of sits in front of me if we have something in common like that. And if we don't, I mean, I'm still blown away by certain things I hear, like your story tonight. Certain parts of it blew me away. But I think that it's very effective sharing what worked for one individual, hearing their story, and letting someone out there, you know, potentially change their life from it. We might not even know. And that's using social media and using the power of the internet for good, really. Because you already talked about the Instagram problems, right? So what do you think we're up against the next little while with this social media and everything that you've gone through?
I mean, I think it is so toxic. Like you said, and I've heard that they're already creating a mental illness around social media and all that. And I remember, like, personally, I remember growing up and girls were cruel. They weren't nice.
Right.
And, like, add social media into the mix and, like, the editing and all this stuff. Like, I look still sometimes, like, I'll look at these girls on Instagram and their bodies are just perfect. And, like, I mean, sometimes I have to literally, like, sit back and be like, okay, Lauren, they have angles, Photoshop, editing, all these things. Like, chill out. You're human. You don't need to live by a diet. You don't need to live by an exercise program. Are you happy with yourself? Are you a good person? And, like, just humble myself to the basics of what really matters in life.
Yeah. And you know what else, though? Just to add to that, I've had a lot of bodybuilders and people in the fitness industry on here. And a lot of those women, people don't think that, they think it's the guys that are just taking shit. No, those women are taking, you know, just as much and sometimes more. Whether it's supplements over the counter that aren't great for you, but a lot of the shit's steroids are illegal too, right? So, I mean, that's a conversation that I'd love to have. There are a few women that will come on, I think, soon enough and talk about that. And I think that'll be really interesting because how many of these Instagram models, you know, are not telling you the full truth about what they're doing to look like that, right?
And like, there's many times where I think like I've taken countless fat burners, all these things, and it's like I would love to do those things, but at the end of the day, I know it's wrong.
Why do you know it's wrong?
Because it's not like a sustainable thing. It's like a Band-Aid fix for what's really inside of me. Right. Like it's like I'm always gonna have an eating disorder. Okay. It's something I'm gonna live with. Doesn't break me down like it used to. Yeah. But I mean, it's still there, and it's still there's days where it is really hard.
Do you still find yourself having a tough time? At one point you said you thought like you couldn't even really look at food, right? Or couldn't eat food. You had a tough time doing it. So how do you deal with that sober?
I mean, it's a bit easier because I'm not drinking so many calories.
Okay. But that thought process still happens?
Oh, yeah.
Really? So you still look at food, and does that automatically kind of...
Like, a lot of times I'll look at food, and I'll be like, you know, like, look at that. Is that much fat, carbs, and, like, protein? Like, I should stay away from that and, like, that. But like, I let myself live now. Like, I try and eat healthy, but, like, if we're having pizza, I'm all for it. Like, it's... Life goes on, and it used to be, like, the breaking point of me. Like, if if someone said we're having pizza, no, I'm going to starve myself. I'm not eating that.
Right.
And I mean, it's not easy, but it's like I have the ability to cope with it.
Right.
And to realize that, you know, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm allowed.
Absolutely you are. Fuck. I mean, so there's so much pressure being put, and a lot of this is social media. A lot of this is the fact that we as a society raise up these swimsuit models and, you know, these gym addicts and things like that. And that's how we're all supposed to look. But really, at the end of the day, it's just to sell, whether it's magazines or supplements in those magazines that make these people look this way. It's still a fucking business. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
No, you're right.
Thank you. Messages for anyone that's going through the same thing. You seem very wise now for a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that happens with people that have been sober. I think that everybody should take 1 year off of drinking and just see how their life is.
Maybe hit up Chapters, Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous.
I'll read it. I'll read it, sure. But that's one way to do it if you can't do it on your own, definitely. But I think if you are at a point where you can do it on your own, just maybe start meditating and I wanted to ask you about that too. Start meditating, start doing healthy, start doing CBT, whatever. But what do you do for meditate? You said something about meditation earlier. What do you do?
I pray. Pretty much. I pray to my higher power.
That's what you consider meditation?
Yep. Okay. Daily meditation, morning and night, or if I'm struggling.
Right, just in the middle. Do you ever just try breathing and like kind of anchoring yourself and listening to your breath?
Yep. I mean, I love yoga. I don't do it very often, but like me and my mom sometimes will
that's cute.
Throw on a meditation tape and fall asleep in 5 minutes, but I mean, we try.
Yeah, sure. A guided meditation?
Yeah, we love those.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that helps put them to sleep. It's better than sleeping pills.
Yep, way better.
Absolutely. So last messages for anyone that is going through something similar.
Don't be afraid to reach out to me, to anyone.
Okay. Don't
be afraid to get help. It's okay to not be perfect. There's so much help out there and support, and you don't have to be perfect, and
no one ever will.
No one is perfect, and I think as we grow up, we realize that like we all struggle in our own ways.
Yep.
And there's less criticism, and just like accept the help that's there, because people love and care about you, and you need to. And at the end of the day, what's really important in life? Is it how you look? Is it being at this party? It's being a good person, feeling good about yourself.
Right.
And putting those things first just puts your whole life in a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's very, very insightful. I appreciate that advice, and I will take that as well. And I really think you hit an amazing point. No one will ever be perfect. So strive to be your best in certain ways. That's not a bad thing to have goals, but healthy goals, right?
Yeah.
It's all about balance, and make sure you're doing things for the right reason.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's all about love. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in this evening. This is our second Woman Crush Wednesday. Lauren Benson.
Yes.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing your story and being so brave. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for you, because I think that you're going to be a powerhouse helping people.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're going to tag your name in this, and hopefully we can have people reach out to you that might be able to share your story.
Of course.
Or have that in common. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
All right, that's it for tonight, folks. We will see you again on Sunday for the Soulfire Sunday, where the boys talk mental health some more. Okay, we'll see you then. Bye-bye, guys.